Welcome back to the channel. This is Winning Turo Strategies, and all we talk about is how to do little things here or there to make your business better, your side hustle more productive, and really making safer decisions moving forward. Topic of today is luxury cars. Luxury cars. This is a tricky thing, especially in the climate that we're at. I'm going to give you a lot of warnings here because I know the argument on luxury cars versus cheaper cars, okay? The argument is that you can buy a luxury car and it can bring in 3 times the income compared to a cheaper car, and so you're doing less work and making more money. But a lot of times that doesn't always play out the way, because when you're dealing with luxury cars, especially, you can't buy brand new ones because massive depreciation. Some of the highest depreciating vehicles are luxury cars. Take a look at a Mercedes-Benz, their MSRPs of, $100,000, and then 4 years, 5 years later, they're selling for $30,000. So massive amounts of depreciation. That's what we don't want in this game. You can't, if you buy them pre-owned, so you buy them after they've depreciated, so now you got your $30,000 Mercedes-Benz, right? You got a great deal and saved all this money, and you bought it with 90,000 miles. Well, then you got to deal with the reason they're $30,000 is because the mechanical costs on them are just through the roof. And so it's a tricky game to play where, if you have that type of vehicle, a Mercedes, Audi, I'm talking about BMW, Land Rover, even Mini would fit in this category, even though maybe you wouldn't consider that a luxury car, but these are cars that will rent. They will bring in money. No arguments about that, and bring in good income. But is it worth the headaches, the clientele that comes with that, and the maintenance costs and all of that? And are you really making money in the long term? So I want to talk to you about that. Right now is a tricky time. If I was brand new to Turo, I would warn you to be very careful about adding, high-end luxury cars, because if you're new to the business and you don't understand, you're learning the business, which everybody was new at one time and learning the business at one time. It's a high risk, high reward. So you can do really, really well. There's great hosts on the platform that specialize in luxury vehicles. My man Alvin down in Florida, I mean, he runs a tight ship and he's got it down. He's got his system down. But he's got a couple benefits that not everybody's going to have in their area, and mainly is most of his clients are people flying into Florida for vacation. Well, that's a lot different clientele than your locals who are going to be renting your BMWs and Mercedes and Audis and Land Rovers. And if you live in a city like I do, my big markets are Baltimore and some of DC, the suburbs of DC. Those luxury vehicles, they bring in money, they can be cash cows, but they also bring in some of the worst as far as clients. People who are, they have easy access to money, but not for the right reasons, if you know what I mean. So, and that can, there's a lot of headaches that come with that. So, but let's talk about this. So, if you're a new host to Turo, and your goal is, man, I'll just get a couple of these really, a Mercedes-Benz, I can get $150 a day, $100 a day, and it'll be rented out. Yeah, that might be the case, but you're going to run into a couple tricky things right now. One, the luxury car market is way overpriced. I mean, even more than all vehicles are overpriced right now, okay? In historically speaking. Now, we'll see how inflation plays out, and maybe cars right now will look like a deal 2 years from now. I don't know. And nobody knows for sure. I have my own opinions about things, but everything seems to be very overpriced right now, especially the luxury car market. So it's hard to get a good deal on a luxury car right now. Everything's a little bit overpriced. So that's one. Two is the really only way to do it successfully is buying a higher mileage vehicle newer, higher mileage vehicle, the most successful way that I've watched hosts do. Again, this is not my specialty because I've dabbled a little bit and I didn't like the results, and so I went a totally different route with my strategy, my game plan, my mission moving forward. But I understand the market well. Don't get me wrong. I know what works and doesn't work as far as that goes. And if you're going to, the best way to do it successfully is getting a certified pre-owned, trying to get a good deal on one. And sometimes, they always go for a premium because everybody wants a luxury car with a warranty, right? And if you ever price out an aftermarket warranty on a luxury car, they can be extremely expensive, into the thousands of dollars. If it's a Land Rover, into the $4,000 and $5,000 sometimes, depending on if you want it to actually work or not. So a certified pre-owned luxury vehicle would be the way to go. Sometimes they'll give you unlimited miles with certain brands, like Porsche and so forth. Look at the certified programs, and if you're 100% sure this is the direction you want to go, try to find a certified pre-owned vehicle, with a lot of times they don't have high miles, but maybe you can get one with 50, 60,000 miles at a decent deal. That can be beneficial, and you just use it that entire time until the certified period warranty is up. And depending on if you've had any problems with the car, that can depend on how long you keep it after that. But that's want to be the safest way to do it. The other option is, instead of the go-tos, Mercedes, BMWs, Land Rovers, Audis, I've had good luck with older Acuras and Lexuses. I mean, if you can get one of those vehicles with over 100,000 miles, and those have a much better reliability ratings moving forward to put 40, 50, 60,000 miles on than the BMWs and the Mercedes and the Audis. And now, they don't bring in quite as much money as those, but the less time, your car's not making any money if it's in the shop. And all that extra money that you lose if you're pouring into the mechanical problems with the vehicle. This is the only reason I haven't had a Mini on the platform. I love the Mini Coopers. I would love to own a Mini Cooper convertible, something like that. Make a killing on the platform. But mechanically, they're just nightmares, and the amount of headaches people have with them, I can't own it. I can't, I can't do it. If I'm going to get a Mini, I'll get it for myself, a 6-speed S or something like that. But for the platform, it just doesn't make financial sense. Even though it'll rent out incredibly well. But you can do well with older model Acura and Lexuses. Now, you're not going to get those high premiums, but you should be able to get a good 20-30% more than you would a super cheap economy car, and they'll go reliably and they hold their value fairly well. So you can do well with that. But I'll give you 3 questions to ask yourself if you've decided, look, this is what I want to do. I want to have a Benz, I want to have an Audi, I want to have a BMW, I want to have this or that, and I want somebody else to pay for it, and I want to bring in more income and less work, right? That's the reason we go that route, we choose that route. There's 3 questions to ask yourself, and this will help you in deciding, is this the right decision? If you've already decided that's the route I want to take, I'm going all in, high risk, high reward, there's 3 questions you should ask yourself before you make that purchase. And the first is, do you have the ability, personally, or know someone that can repair that vehicle on the cheap? If you bring in a lot of money, but all that money goes right back into repairs and the vehicle's out all the time for recalls or mechanical repairs, you're not really making money. And so the first question you should ask yourself before you buy your Mercedes or BMW or Benz or any of that stuff, if you're not going certified, if you don't have a warranty coverage, and you're going the route of a higher mileage vehicle, trying to buy it super cheap and then maximize the money you can get on it for the cost you put into the car, then you got to be able to take care of minor stuff yourself, and or have access to a good mechanic that's cheap, because it's not real profit if it just gets used up in mechanical repairs, and or worse, something, the problem with those type of vehicles is when electrical issue or an engine issue or that kind of thing, that can cost a lot of money, and all of a sudden, it gets to the point where it costs more to repair than the car ends up being worth. So, most important question: do you have the ability to fix things yourself? Are you mechanically inclined? Are you good with tinkering and that kind of stuff, and following up online with all the tools online that you can use and you like working on that kind of stuff? Okay, then maybe that's not a bad decision, because you can bring in sometimes 2 to 3 times what you could a super cheap economy car with a luxury car, even if it's got high miles. Second question is, are the customers that are going to rent this vehicle, are they the customers that you're going to want? And what I mean by that is, are you getting people who are flying in? Are you close to an airport where you get a lot of tourist traffic? If you do, then the luxury route can be a good way to go. But if predominantly you live in a city, one of the bigger cities, and a lot of your customers are not going to be the fly-in tourist crowd, then you're going to get some very shady people renting your vehicles. These are people who are going to smoke in your vehicle, and it's going to come back smelling, reeking like weed. And look, there's stuff you can do, the ozone things, you can treat it, you can spray, but the days of profiting on those type of things are pretty much over. Turo just rolled out. They're no longer doing the $50 or $150, if it smells, smoking fees. And you actually have to have physical evidence that you took a picture before and after. It's going to be a lot harder to capitalize on smoking costs. There's many in the Turo community, for the last years, that this is a part of their profit, is, capitalizing. They love smokers. They loved, people who smoked in their cars, because it was just extra cash for them. I've never been that way, because I think no matter how good you try, you can never get all that stuff out, and people who don't like smoking, they can tell, and it hurts the experience. And I don't have the time to be trying to clean out all of my vehicles. So I try, if at all possible, to get people not to smoke in my cars, unlike some other people who, hey, they're happy to take the extra $100, $150, $50. But Toro's already cracked basically eliminating that. They still have a $250 smoking fee if it's blatant, if there's ashes and that kind of stuff. But most people try to cover that stuff up as best they can. You're going to have people who are going to damage the vehicle, people are going to sit on the hoods, people are going to smoke in your vehicles, people are going to trash your vehicles. It just brings in the wrong crowd. It's the same reason that I've steered away from, look, I've had Camaros on the platform, I had sports cars on the platform, but I've steered away from the Mustang, the Camaros, the Challengers, the Chargers, of those cars rent, they bring in money, but they're a lot of work and hassle and headaches, and I don't want to do that anymore. So if you're new to the platform, hey, let's cut your teeth, man, and in about 30 rentals, you'll probably be leaning my direction as well. But so you got to think of your area, your city, are those the customers that you really want? If you're not sure, hey, try one out, see how it goes. And if you don't have no problems with it, and if you get a good system to make it work, then they can be very productive and profitable. But remember, it's not real profit until you sell the vehicle. So you may do great for 30,000 miles, but the first time you get a $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 mechanical repair, or a repair that is not worth fixing, all the profit that you've banked up in the last year can be eliminated very quickly. So that's always a risk when you're dealing with older, high mileage luxury cars like the BMWs, the Mercedes, the Range Rovers, and the Audis. So, for the first 6 months or a year, everything looks great. Third question that you want to ask yourself is, do you have an exit strategy? piggybacking off of what we just said, you can do great for a year, but if you don't have the car paid off, or if you're taking a loan on a car, a 60-month, 72-month, 84-month, God forbid, on a used car, a loan, and it's going to take you years to get the car paid off. And so you might do really well for 6 months or a year or 18 months, and then some big mechanical issue, or something happens to the vehicle where you've got to pour money into it and you're not paid off yet. So that's why it's a risky strategy. High reward, but there's also high risk. And so it's important when you purchase that vehicle that you have an exit strategy. You know how long you're going to rent that vehicle for, and when you're going to get out of it, and what's it going to be worth when you sell that car. And that's why the certified pre-owned can work, because you're purchasing the car, it's certified, you have a certain period of time, whether it's 24 months or whatever the period of time is, where you are protected from major mechanical repairs without spending thousands and thousands of dollars for an extra warranty. You can also calculate exactly what the car is going to be worth at the end of that period. And that's the homework you need to do. Look, the market analysis is great, but if you're in a big city and you have a luxury car, if you pick anything decent, it's going to rent out. People like those. People like to rent a car that they can't afford, or maybe are not able to have, or not practical for them to own. But you're the one who's got to pay the repairs and so forth. So if you can buy a certified car and you know exactly how long you're going to keep it for, and then you can calculate approximately what that car is going to be worth, and so you do have an exit strategy, then it can work out, and it can work out well. And that's the benefit of being in a big city, is that you have the clientele, you have the bodies of people that are going to rent the car, and as long as you have a time frame where you want to get out, then it can work. By the way, a total loss is not an exit strategy, okay? I see this all the time. Yeah, man, I'll just rent it out, and then some fool will total it for me, and then I'll get paid extra money. Okay, well, sometimes that works out, but what happens when nobody totals the car, okay? And instead the engine blows up on you, okay? So the strategy of, well, I'll just keep renting it until someone totals it, because I know I'm going to get rough clientele that is going to beat on it and eventually wreck my car. Well, that's not really an exit strategy. You can't plan around that. I've been doing this for 4.5 years, and I've never had a total loss. Now, some of that is because I do some things that can prevent that. Some of that may be just dumb luck, but I don't target the crowd that's going to be smashing up my vehicles. Those are not the people I want. So there's other hosts that they love to target that crowd for the smoking fees and the total losses and making out on that. But you can't. That's not an exit strategy when you're new to the business, and when you have a loan on a car. Hoping that someone totals your vehicle is not an exit strategy, okay? Exit strategy is something you've already planned out, and you know how long you're going to keep the car for. And so those are the 3 questions you need to ask yourself. Do you have somebody, or are you mechanically inclined to make minor repairs on a vehicle and possibly get major repairs fixed on the cheap? Are the customers that you're going to bring in, are they the people that you really want to deal with? And then thirdly is, do you have an exit strategy on the vehicle? How long are you going to keep the vehicle for? How long is it going to take you to get your money back and then start making a profit? When are you going to sell? And what's the car going to be worth at that time? And if you can get those 3 things to make sense for you, then go for it. Because the tricky part right now for someone who's new to the business is, right now you're seeing a lot of cash flow coming in. This is the peak season. But you have luxury cars are overpriced, so it's hard to get a good deal on one. 2, this peak season is, the next few months is going to fade down. So by the time you get that car up and running, you're running into the December, January, February, which is the slowest season of the year. So you got to be careful, saddling yourself with this big payment if you're already a little bit possibly overpaying for the car, and you don't have the time to make up that amount before you go into the slow season. So it's a little, I would be a little weary being a brand new host rushing into the luxury car market. And if you've done all your homework and you're confident about it, maybe adding one of them is good. Get through the slow season and then possibly add more going into the spring, where you can have more time to recoup your money quickly, is what I would recommend. I definitely would not be going all in. I see people brand new to Turo buy as many cars as you can in 30 days before it shows up on your credit. And look, that can work in certain scenarios, but if you're dropping 7, 8, 9, 10 luxury cars and just going all in, that can be catastrophic if you don't have the experience to handle that, and you don't have good systems set up moving forward. There are hosts that do that for sure. There's hosts that have 20, 30, 40, even more of luxury cars, but they have a lot of experience and they know what they're doing at this point. They're not doing that. They're not doing that right from the get-go. They've really mastered their customers and how to deal with those situations. And if you're brand new to Turo, that's not you yet. So be careful with it. The last thing I want is people who are new to the business, who are coming in and in situations where they're upside down, their car they have a hefty loan on is now blown up, the engine's blown or whatever, and it puts them in a very difficult situation. And so that's my advice on luxury vehicles. I'm not totally against it, but I would recommend use caution, and especially at this time that we are in, where it's very difficult to get a good deal, and a lot of times you'll be overpaying for cars right now. If you really want to go all in on it, wait till January and February, because that's where you will be able to get some good deals. We'll see a pullback in the pricing on cars, and you can have that car running full speed by March, April, May, and by next year, you have a full ramp period. Most times if you're doing a loan, you don't have a payment for 45 days. So if you buy a car in February, right before tax season is a great time to buy a luxury car. January, February is a great time, and you got 45 days, get it all set up, get good pictures, and you can really capitalize, and then you got all year long to make your money back before something bad happens mechanically. So that's my advice. Take what you want with it, look, with anything that I do on my videos, this is a buffet. So take the parts that you like, leave what you don't like. That's okay. I'm not offended. You're not going to hurt my feelings. So that's just my perspective. And, I've done pretty well with this game. So once again, Turo's a game. If you're going to play the game, know the rules. Know the rules. And, have fun while you're doing it. But most importantly, be smart. Protect your investment. Be careful. And you'll do well. Thanks. I'm out.